Hi, Haywire. Can you hear me? Hi, Haywire. Can you hear me?
Hi, Ike. What's up?
Okay, so good. We can hear each other now. Thank you,
All
Jesus.
right.
All right, so I believe we should be ready for our audience in 5 minutes. Thank you so much for coming back and for staying through with your girl, with your friend. I really
No problem.
appreciate it. I really appreciate. Thank you.
It's
How's your
fine.
day been?
I mean, I had a session with a group of friends, so
Okay.
we had to wrap up just in time so I could meet up as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so you'll be
But you
able
can
to
hear me
share. Have
loud and
you
clear, right?
tried very clear? Have you tried sharing from your end, sharing your
Yeah, so
screen?
it's screen sharing is just with two monitors. So just give me a second. Let me connect my other monitor so that we're good.
Okay. All right. So I would, once it's 8 p.m., I'll do the introduction, then we can bring you on. So please, can you help me
Yeah,
remove
so
AY now? I bring him up after the introduction or during the introduction.
you can easily just take me off stage.
Yes, yes. I do remove here, but Ìjọba mi fi fóònù mọ́ mi náà. Hi, good evening, and welcome to Ikeoluwa Toby's YouTube channel. It's so good to be here tonight, bringing my career self into my YouTube platform. I believe this should be the first time I'm actually bringing my career self into my YouTube platform. One of the very major things that this platform will be showcasing, and I'm so excited about tonight. I'm really excited. Again, first of all, apologies that we had to change our date from the 29th, which was on Friday, to today, the 31st of March. The technical issue was really out of control, as much as we tried to, debar it, but then all thanks to God that here I am tonight. Welcome to my live webinar. And this night, this particular session is from a burden for employees in general, 9-to-5ers, corporate workers. And one of my major goals as an HR personnel is to see that people actually thrive in their choice of professional career. So because we are in a world whereby professionalism is gradually being swept under the carpet. Aside the word professionalism, being an employee is gradually being sucked down, and majority of the people now see their salary jobs as a means of survival, as opposed to doing it, enjoying it, growing, getting the most of that season or of that phase of their life, of that aspect of their life. A lot of people are just doing it and just doing it and just surviving in it, which is not the intention. We've all, majority of us in the corporate world as an employee, have gone through the stage of going through school, the walls of higher institution, the rigorous works in doing exams, coming out, some persons first class, second class, and all of that. The society or the current generation is bringing us into a space where we think that those things should not really count. And I am of the school of thought that those things should actually count. And my current stage as an employee or as a worker should actually pay for those seasons. I should actually now inherit the labor, the fruits of my labor of those days. And that is why this particular webinar is set up to, let's talk to ourselves as employee. And I am not going to be doing that alone this evening. I'm here with a dear friend. Hayomide is somebody that we've known each other way back about 7 years ago now, at the early pace of our career. I knew Ayomide when we were just trying to get our feet into the corporate world. I think Ayomide was a core member and I had just also finished serving, and we just started our career life. And I see the progression, I see the trajectory from Ayomide from that time as a fresh graduate up until now. Not to blow the trumpet and so that I keep my brother in the safe space. I see a lot of things that has gone and has happened with Ayomide's career life, and it's something worthy of, I'm proud to be his friend. I'm proud to be in his circle, and I was like, no, you need to come and tell us how you are doing this thing. Like, you are really enjoying it. You make it look as if that corporate world that everybody's, I just want to get money, I just want to get capital and go do business, I just want to do business, I just want to go into sales, I just want to have my own business, I don't want to work for anybody. But I see that there's still a few of us that are really thriving in this thing, and we are not just thriving in the sense that we are just getting by it, we are just getting by the day as it comes. We really enjoy what we are doing. It's positive, it has positive influence in us, it's affecting us financially, professional development and all of that. So I spoke to him about it, and voila, we are here tonight. He will be dishing out from his wealth of experience. You will get to hear some of his testimonies in this career pace, and I would bring Ayomide Otokiti. A lot of my people, when I posted this flyer, I was surprised that a lot of people knew you. Oh, Ayomide, I know Ayomide, he finished from CU. Oh, I know Ayomide's dad, he was a prof. I think it really got me. Oh, really? So Ayomide is really a big man. As much as I think I know Ayomide, I really think that I don't know him as much as people that actually know him, aside from just. So I'm really excited to have you here, Ayomide, and thank you everyone who have joined us. I believe this session is going to be beautiful. Please get your notepad. We would try as much as possible to be time friendly with us. We understand everybody's data, all of that. And I believe we are going to talk about it here, the sacrifices we need to pay in this world to actually get to that success point. And as an employee, you are not doing bad for yourself, to be very honest. I need to put that out. That you are an employee doesn't mean that you are not going to get there, but it is just the steps you need to take. A lot of people, I want to just have my own business, and at the end of the day, they really cannot even work for themselves. Do you get? So I'll leave the floor to Ayomide. Thank you, and thank you for joining us, and welcome on board, Ayomide. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Kev. Please confirm if you can hear me. Okay, thank you very much, guys, for joining this session this evening. I'm really super excited to be here, if you ask me, right? And like Ike had actually given a brief of an introduction. We've known since, if I can recollect, this has been way back since 2018, while I was doing my service back then in Ogun State, right? And like she said, I was also just fresh out of school. Um, I was 7 with a construction firm back then. And this is me counting 7 years of me moving into the corporate space. And to be honest, I won't come here this evening to just tell you it's been all rosy, right? And just come to the stage this evening or come to this podium this evening and tell you all the 7 years of my career has been really smooth. I've grown across different roles. No, 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 that's not what I'm here to do today, right? So, not to take so much of our time, right? I'm going to I'm going to be sharing my screen just a second. Okay. Um okay, great. So I'm going to be sharing my screen this evening. I hope we can all get to see my screen. Just a second. All right. So, like I said, I'm actually going to be talking about this particular topic, which is about leveraging the power of our paycheck, leveraging your 9 to 5 for success, right? So, I know there's been a lot of topic around if we should remain in the 9 to 5 space, or should we just, would I say, move into doing our own business. And like Ike had also mentioned to me when we were actually discussing about this, there's been a lot of, I will not call it complacency, or there's been a lot of mindset shifts as to the fact that everybody just wants to move out of the 9 to 5 space to do their own thing, which is honestly not bad. But trust me, um, the 9 to 5, which seems to be like the more structured businesses we see nowadays, also employs people at the end of the day, right? So whether you are leaving your 9 to 5 to start a business or not, you are still creating a 9 to 5. You are still creating an employment in one space, which runs the same structure of the 9 to 5. But then I will not get into that topic. I'm just going to dive straight in into telling you my own experience way back since 2018. And everything I say today is not out of extreme hard work, right? I will not say everything is hell bent on. I was working hard, I was doing this. I would say at some point in time, I also leveraged some what how do I call this? I will call them opportunities, and I would also call them um let me just leave it at opportunities, right? So back to the topic, which says the power of the paycheck, leveraging your 9 to 5 for success. Now, once again, my name is Ayomide Otokiti, and I'm a continuous improvement professional, and also an industrial engineer, right? So I just want to be very sure that we can all see my screen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to try to share again. Just a second so that we are all on the same page, right? So, okay, great. So, as I was saying, right, my name is Ayomide Otokiti once again, and I'm a continuous improvement professional. This is the best of explanation I can give to what I do at the moment, right? But for those who might really care to know what a continuous improvement professional is about, I'll give a brief introduction. And I'm also an industrial engineer for a multinational organization based in Germany, right? So I've only had 6 years or 6.5 years of the career journey so far, right? And this is why I had to really bring in my own experience into explaining this particular topic, telling you how I've transitioned from ground zero to where I am today. I've not achieved everything in life, right? Don't get me wrong. But looking at where I was before, just like Ike had mentioned, starting all the way from me being clueless. So there's probably a lot of us might have also left school a couple of years ago. And you understand this feeling when you're just graduating and you're literally clueless as to what next do I do with my life. Even I graduated with good results, right? But it was still a space of I was literally in doubt as to what exactly do I do in my life at this point, right? So this is me walking you through the entire journey, mistakes that I've made, things that I've dabbled into, um, how my value outside of the 9 to 5 also increased my value in the 9 to 5, right? So, like I said, I'm a continuous improvement professional. So, what does a continuous improvement professional do? Basically, it's more or less related to a business analysis kind of role, right? You analyze business processes, you analyze organizations, understand their pain points or where they might actually be losing money, maybe due to some waste, due to some inefficient processes, and you try to improve those processes by working on certain projects that could either affect the top line in terms of profit or bottom line in terms of some efficiency topics like that, right? So this is basically what I do. I just analyze business processes. What is the business suffering from that is affecting them from achieving their goal, and basically work on projects to make them achieve it. So that's a brief introduction of what I do. It's more way far in depth more than that, right? But I'll just leave it at that. So like I said, it's just been 6.5 years in my career journey. And I started off my first, would I say, major career job in 2019. And I can remember vividly when a lot of us must have written Dragnet and that actually dragged us. So this was me writing, I think, maybe the fifth Dragnet assessment that I was writing. And it was just me saying, I really don't know where this is going to end, but I'm just going to try my luck. Let me just see where this is going to end. And I wrote it and I got my first job, which I resumed, if I can remember vividly, on the 7th of January 2019. And I stayed in that particular organization for 4 years, right? And this is what I want you to understand, right? Starting off as a 9 to 5er, it's definitely going to be tough, especially probably you're just even leaving school. You know, the concept of education is also has literally changed as to what it used to be before. It's no longer just about you going to school, but it's now leveraging what skill sets do you have. So as I then 2019, I would say pretty much I was lucky because aside what I studied, which was electrical and information engineering, right? So I would say I didn't have so much of the hard skills, right? And this was an organization which I got into, and they were really, really willing to train me on this particular topic. So I got in. And how much was I earning then, right? It wasn't much, to be honest and to be fair. But then I could still survive because the organization was taking care of some of my basic needs. I think they were paying my house rent, my utility bills, but the take home is not something that could take me home basically as at then, right? So it was just me leveraging the fact that they were ready to invest into my development. They trained me. I got my hands dirty working on several projects, understanding stakeholder management on the top level. I think the first few months that I got into the organization, I had the opportunity to actually make a presentation to the CEO of the organization. This was um, an opportunity that would rarely happen, like that you hardly see anywhere, right? So this was me actually having to interface with the CEO, and this actually shaped my perspective into how to communicate with this kind of people. How do they think? How do they reason things out? And this was what one of the things that also shaped me, right? So I moved. One other thing that was super interesting that kind of formed the foundation of the exponential growth I'm experiencing today is the movements that I have had in my previous organization. And this is one topic I also want to talk about, right? I know I'm still going to dwell on my personal career because I want us to understand at every point in time what had helped me to actually leverage and move and get to where I am today. So, because what I've seen most of the time is people just want to do the bare minimum. Okay, this is what is on my JD, this is what I'm employed to do. Anything outside of it, I am sorry, I'm not interested. If you send me a mail by 4:59, forget it, I'm already on my way home. Anything outside of my JD, that is the end of it, I'm not interested. Now, it is not wrong to just do what is on your JD, but honestly, you're at a disadvantage because most organizations are literally looking for problem solvers, and problems will not only exist within your scope of work. That's one thing you need to understand. Some things will be totally outside your scope of work, but the fact that you are available and you are there to solve problems that within and outside your scope of work makes you visible to the decision makers, which eventually will put you in spaces that probably it will take you 2, 3, 4 years to actually move up that career ladder. Now I'm going to give you a perfect example, which is why I said I worked in an organization for 4 years, or 3 years and 9 months to be precise. And in 3 years and 9 months, I moved 4 times. That means I moved across 4 different roles. I also give this accolades to the organization because they were also thinking in this direction. They wanted to form a 360 kind of leader around all of us that they recruited back then. So the goal was once you do maximum of let's say 2 years in a particular space within the organization, they move you to another region, to another business unit to form a 360 understanding of the entire business if you eventually would be a leader. Now, while my first place of assignment was in Port Harcourt, right? And while I was going to move, that was like the most difficult place. And this is one thing I want us to understand, right? Moving out of our comfort zone is the most difficult thing to do, but it's the most rewarding thing that we're going to do. And when I say moving out of our comfort zone, there would have been opportunities within your organization whereby maybe a project, there's an opportunity for you to collaborate with another cross-functional team to work on a project, but you're saying this is not my scope of work, this is not my expertise. Why exactly should I even get into that space? You are depriving yourself the opportunity to actually upskill and learn some other things that could become a major thing for you in the nearest future, right? So I started out in Port Harcourt. They moved me to another business unit after I think 1 year and 6 months. And I think that was a most difficult space to settle because I already got used to the team in Port Harcourt. I had worked on a project with them. And now, because I was moving into another business unit, coming into that business unit, they already saw me as an experienced hire. So I was coming in and they were like, they're just waiting for you to deliver. It was difficult, but I think that was a very good learning curve for me. It gave me the opportunity to pick up some things very fast, learn some processes, burn the midnight council to understand how exactly can I add value to this process because people are actually looking up to me to understand this. I could have as well said, I'm sorry, I'm not moving, or I move and then I just show a level of complacency. At the end of the day, it will leave you to it, and before you know it, probably you are already redundant in the system, and people are just looking at you that when will this person eventually leave the system. But this was me taking up the challenge, moving out of my comfort zone. It was extremely easy because I was relocating back to Lagos, finding an apartment. For those of us that are here, will understand how difficult it is to find an apartment. And then because of the level of work that had been put in this new space, I was moved again after 6 months. Yes, I've created systems, we've created some structures, we've redefined some processes, set some standards in that 6 months because I wasn't working alone, right? So that's also the power of collaboration. I was working with a group of people as well that were all transferred from different business units. We had set the systems, and in 6 months, this was me being transferred to another business unit that was starting from scratch again. So I think if I look at my career so far, I think why I said the last 6 years, I will not come here to tell you it has all been rosy, right? I would say it's the up and downs that have actually formed my solid foundation and perspective, as well as understanding of how to navigate the 9 to 5. Because I think one major thing majority of us don't understand, and I was discussing with a couple of friends today while we we're having kind of a strategy session. Most of the time, we blame our bosses for being the reason for us not growing within an organization. We are forgetting that your boss also wants to grow. That means he's a stakeholder that you need to manage. So, how exactly do you leverage emotional intelligence to understand what your boss is pushing through? As much as you want to grow within the industry, your boss also wants to go through. How do you manage your boss or the person you feel is behaving really toxic? Sometimes, and I'm telling you, sometimes you really need to understand how to relate with people. Sometimes you might need to massage some people's ego to make them feel like they are literally the one leading the show. But you know your competence, right? You know what you can do. And at the end of the day, you get what you want. You're able to eventually grow within the organization. And I'm not going to go deep into that topic, right? So I'm just walking you through my entire career journey. So after 6 months, being transferred to another business unit, and I was sent to a place where I would not even expect, to the east. I think this was my first time being in the east for more than a day. So I was going to be there for a solid 1 year. I didn't understand any language, but I think I picked up a few. Maybe Apple Maka was one of the lines that I picked up in the east, right? But jokes aside, I was thrown into this space, and this was me going out of another comfort zone. It was difficult, to be honest with you. And this is what I want us to understand, that as much as a lot of us wants to leave the 9 to 5 to go and start a business, thinking it's easier, the land is greener on the other side, you understand that your next meal as an entrepreneur is not guaranteed. That one I can assure you. It takes a lot of grit and muscle power to actually pull through. So if we're thinking it's easy on this other side, you must be joking. But one thing I can assure you is the 9 to 5 can prepare you for that business that you eventually want to create, for that entrepreneurship mindset that you have. The 9 to 5 is already a structured environment that teaches you how to run a business if eventually you move into that space. So after I did 1 year in the East, I was transferred again to another business unit in Benin. This was the fourth time I was being transferred in less than 4 years. Trust me, I was already mentally resilient after that third transfer because I moved from here, moved to this place, moved to this place, moved to this place. And I want us to understand that not in all cases are we going to have the opportunity to actually move, maybe be moved from one business unit to the other. But I know for sure that most organizations, you have the opportunity to actually have a lateral or a vertical growth. How well are you open to exploring it? It is never easy to take up those new spaces. It's never easy, right? So I did this for 3 years and 9 months, and then I got another opportunity, obviously, right? Because at the 3 years and 9 months mark, I was now working as an operations manager with that current business. But then I wanted a new environment, I wanted a new culture, I wanted to move into a different space. And this was me having to now change jobs. Another opportunity came my way, and I moved into another organization. Now, it's just been 2 years and 6 months within my current organization. I did 3 years and 9 months in my previous organization, and I moved 4 times. Now I'm just 2 years and 6 months within my current organization, and this is also my fourth role, right? And I want us to understand that I think movement is one thing that actually gives the growth you're looking for, either laterally or vertically. So every growth that you're seeing here, or even movement that you're seeing here, has never all been vertical growth. That okay, it's been promoted. Sometimes it's a lateral growth that you're just moving into another department. For instance, my third role in my current organization, I had to take up another role within my, or let's say outside my scope of work, but leveraging my skill and expertise to actually work within that scope of work, right? So this was me taking a lateral role that would position me better for a vertical role. So some things are very strategic in nature that for us, I don't think we should be so fixated on the part of if I'm not going up, I cannot go any other direction. One way they say the Yoruba language, right? They say onokon woja. That means one way doesn't lead to the market, right? So most of the time in our career, we are so fixated on one angle that we literally don't see any other angle that we can move from, which is always the mistake of things. So, in a very quick summary of my career journey, it's been 6.5 years, 8 roles, several vertical movements, several lateral movements. And these movements, I would say, have formed my foundation for me to be able to perform in my current role and also earn as much as I would want to earn within a 9 to 5. Now, don't get me wrong, as much as I have grown within to 9 to 5, I have also dabbled into a lot of businesses, trying my hands on so many things because I said it already, the 9 to 5 environment forms your mindset into being an entrepreneur already as well. So at the end of the day, as you're doing a 9 to 5, you're already building a mindset of, okay, I want to create something. And then you are definitely going to be able to create it because you're already moving within the 9 to 5 spaces where so many structural SOPs, processes are being put into place, which helps you to now leverage the skills being learned to do whatsoever you want to do in the business, but in a better and structured way, right? So now I want to make us understand. Now, I've said a lot of things about myself, right? So maybe for most of us, we might be wondering that this is you, right? And probably not everybody can be like you. Now, I was reading an article. I think I saw a post by somebody a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was also flooded on the internet as at then, right? So this is the current CEO of Goldman Sachs, right? And this man was paid $80 million to extend his stay for 5 years. Now you might be saying, how is this any of our business? So I want to actually walk you through his journey so that it doesn't look as if um he just became a CEO. And if you look at this man as well, probably if you look at his entire portfolio, the fact that he's a CEO or works a 9 to 5 kind of life doesn't mean he doesn't have other things that he does or other investment or other businesses that he has dabbled into. That's what I want us to understand. That you don't have to leave your 9 to 5 to own a thriving business. Now, you also don't need to be very lackadaisical in your 9 to 5. That you're now very nonchalant. You put in the minimal effort, barest of efforts, just letting by. They're just going by. Let me just do what I can do, and then once I'm done, I go home. Once it's 4:59, anything that comes in 4:59, I'm done. I can't do anything again. That is not what I'm trying to tell you to do. I'm saying, look at the story of this man. He started and graduated from college in 1984, and then he's worked at Drexel, Bonham, Lambert, and Bierstein. So he became a managing director between 1984 and 1999. So he had worked with these people before he finally became a managing director. So if you look between 1984 and 1999, so that is about 13 years, if I'm not wrong, or about 15 years. Yeah, 15 to 16 years. So he has worked in an organization for 15 years, probably also had vertical growth, had lateral movement within the organization. So this was not as if he just became a managing director. So just like the same way I was explaining my own career as well, he definitely started from somewhere, graduated from school, like most of you who might be on this call at the moment, walked the career ladder, maybe had some lateral growth, vertical growth, moved up the career ladder and became a managing director. Then from 1999, he changed the organization, which is also the case for me, right? I'm just trying to do it side by side so you understand that movement is important, either vertical or lateral. And then from 1999, he joined Goldman Sachs as a partner in investment banking. From 2006 to 2016, he was co-heading the investment bank division, leading major deals, right? So this is him leading major projects. And now 2017 to 2018, promoted to president and CEO, preparing for a top role. 2018 to present, became the CEO of Goldman Sachs, driving strategic shift in customer banking and technology. And just, I think it was earlier this year, I think probably his contract also was expiring. And this was the board saying, please, can you extend your stay for another 5 years? We're going to pay you $80 million just for you to extend your stay for another 5 years. Then you come and tell me 9 to 5 doesn't pay out. I don't understand what that means, because this, as much as a business takes dedication, takes years of result to show, this is also someone who has put in the work into the 9 to 5 over years, over the years, right? He graduated from school like many of us. He has walked up the career ladder like many of us, positioned himself strategically like many of us. At some point, he needed to change jobs like many of us as well. And then he became the CEO of Goldman Sachs, right? Now being paid $80 million to just extend his stay for another 5 years. Now, I'm going to go back to my story, but I just wanted us to understand that the perception we have of the 9 to 5, that you cannot make it doing a 9 to 5, might be wrong, right? I want us to understand. And don't get me wrong, right? I'm not saying if you're doing a 9 to 5, I've said this already. If you're doing a 9 to 5, you cannot do any other thing. Don't venture any other thing. Now, I want us to understand. Let's challenge the myth first. The myth is you can only be successful if you own your own business. I've seen a lot of things like that. So I saw a video one time where I think it was a forex trader. He was in the country, and then he was recording a video in the morning saying, I'm in a country, everyone has gone to work. Um, and this is 11 a.m. in the morning. I'm living the life of my dreams. I don't have to report to anyone. I can easily just do this. As much as that is good for him, I don't agree with the fact that he thinks that everyone who has gone to work are wasting their time. Truth be told, those that had gone to work, right? Majority of what they do is also what guides the direction of the market in which he's trading, right? The decisions they are making out there, decisions with one organization, guides the direction in which the market in which he's trading is flowing, right? So if everybody decides that okay, today everybody is going to be their own boss, who then works, right? We need to understand that sometimes the different roles that we play in the organization or in the world today is what creates a balance in the society. Everybody cannot own a business. If everybody in the world is a CEO, so who is the CTO? Who is the head of HR? Who is the head of marketing? Who is definitely now going to work on the shop floor? You need to understand that everybody also has their place. Now, this is not saying you cannot be the CEO, but then at every point in time, you need to understand what you're doing, right? You need to understand that it is not until you own a business before you can be successful. Now, I need you to understand that a 9 to 5 can actually give you financial security, career growth, and fulfillment. And this is what I'm trying to say, because I've also tried to make you understand that you can never depend on one source of income. This is one thing I also want you to understand. I'm not going to come to this call and tell you, just face your work, do this, be very punctual. You don't need to leave by 5. No, I'm not coming here to tell you all that, right? Because even for me as a person, I'm going to tell you that at some point in time in these 6 years of my career, I'm going to show you a lot of things that I've dabbled into, a lot of them that failed, a lot of skills that I've tried to learn, and I didn't see them being useful, and I had to venture into something else. But one thing I want you to understand today is, as much as you are doing a 9 to 5, you can never depend on one source of income. Make investments to create multiple sources. Investment could be, you're taking a bit of the proceeds from your 9 to 5 to invest into maybe working or building a startup, taking a bit of your 9 to 5, investing into running another business, or investing into real estate, or investing into trading, forex, whatsoever the case may be. But you need to understand that this call is not to tell you that the only thing you have to do is your 9 to 5, but to make you understand that you can be successful doing your 9 to 5 and also doing other things. Right now, for me, I've explained the 6 years of my career journey. Now, while I was starting off maybe in year one, that's year one of my career journey, right? I actually ventured into a lot of things. And I want us to understand one thing today. We are limited in terms of ideas based on the set of skills that we have. Understand that very well again, right? The set of skills that you have is what helps you to expand your idea generation. So it is only based on the skills that you generated. That is as far as you can think. To be honest with you, I've seen this play out in so many cases. So the first space which I ventured into while I was back in school was, no, while I started out my career, was I started a company called Union, right? And this was, we're into just what were we doing back then? It was basically a period where there was also a huge wave of, I think, jackpots at then, and people had to write a lot of SOPs, CV drafting, optimization of LinkedIn page and stuff like that. So all my career has always been electrical and electronics engineering. I've also written a couple of SOPs and stuff like that, because I also wanted to leave the country. So this was like the skill I could actually pinpoint that I had as a then. Aside the fact that probably I was building a payload delivery drone to solve delivery problems within the Nigerian space, which I also did not put here. Now, this company is no more, because I mean AI has taken over the world. So who do you need to start sitting with you to start drafting SOP? It no longer exist, right? So that, I would say, failed. Now, still while doing my 9 to 5, I've also ventured into another organization called Optimark, which is basically um, consulting for organizations, understand, like basically what I currently do, right? Understanding pain points and helping SMEs, and the focus is on small and medium scale enterprises to understand how to help them scale, right? So here's one thing I was also ventured into while still doing my 9 to 5. Now, that is in the business side of things. Like I said earlier, we are limited by the set of skills that we have. Now, in this my 6 years career journey, I've opted on so many knowledge learning, or would I say, um, on so many things just to gain knowledge. Let me put it that way. I've learned Python programming. I've taken certification on Scrum. I've taken certification on product management. I've taken certification on Six Sigma. Now, I'm not just taking these things for fun, because at the end of the day, no knowledge is lost. I've done Power BI, I've done Tableau, data analytics training, and a lot of things like that. Now, like I said, we are limited by the set of skills that we have in terms of idea generation. Now, because I had realized my limitations in terms of skills, I needed to upgrade my skill sets so that I could think wider in terms of idea generation, even while still doing my 9 to 5. What else can I do outside of my 9 to 5 that will increase the value on me, that makes me more valuable to my 9 to 5? And I'm going to put it this way. I want us to understand this today, that the value on you increases in your 9 to 5 based on the value that you dish out or add outside your 9 to 5. I don't know if you get that point. So the more value you're able to, or the more valuable you are outside your 9 to 5, that means what else are you able to do for yourself while doing your 9 to 5? By the time you come back into your 9 to 5, it apparently increases your face value, because beyond the scope of work now, you are thinking outside the box to do some other things which could still be valuable to your organization and business and makes you more valuable. I've said value, value, value a lot of times, but get the point. As much as we're saying your 9 to 5 can make you successful, that growth that you're looking for within your 9 to 5, it is not just based on the scope of work that they've given to you. Venture into some other things, expand your knowledge base, take on so many skills acquisition, build on your skill sets, and watch yourself increase in value coming back into the organization and see them place more value on you. I don't know if you get my point, right? But I hope I'm able to explain this well to you, that it is not just about you trying to do just the work within your organization, but basically trying to do something more outside work that will increase your value at work. I hope that makes a lot of sense, right? So this is me just challenging the myth and understanding that we have, that you can only be successful if you own your business. But understand the fact that a 9 to 5 can actually provide you financial security, career growth, and fulfillment. And this is what the journey has been for me in the last 6 years. I mean, I'm not one old person, right? I'm still a very young person in the scheme of things. But the career advancement I've had in the last 6 years has been really tremendous. It's not been easy, it's not been rosy like I've explained to you so far, right? But the fulfillment that I've had, the interactions that I've had, the opportunities that I've had in the last 6 years is nothing compared to it. Even while doing the 9 to 5, I've also ventured into some other things that has given me the opportunity to also relate with a couple of people, understand their point of view, and it eventually enriches the contribution that I'm able to give back to the 9 to 5, right? So now moving on is now me walking you through this particular thing called the Maslow hierarchy of needs and career growth. Now, I want you to understand this because it's super important. As much as you want to venture into business, right? You need to understand the leverage you have while doing your 9 to 5, and why you need to put in your best at your 9 to 5, but then still create something outside the 9 to 5 that will increase your value back in your 9 to 5. Now, there are 5 levels to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and it's starting from the last one. The last one is called the psychological needs, right? And what I want you to understand is every one of us, if you are starting out your career, I think where you will first need to settle is your psychological needs, the basic needs of life, feeding, the thing that if you don't have it, where to sleep, food, could affect your psychology. Now, your salary can actually cover these essentials, right? In the world of today, maybe if you're able to also get into some organizations, at least for a start, you're able to cover your psychological needs. Now, the 9 to 5 also helps with the safety needs. And what I mean by safety needs is job security and benefits actually providing stability. So as you're able to grow within the organization, you are able to now have this job security, benefits that are given to you to also give you the stability. And then you can move funds from your current 9 to 5 into doing something out of your 9 to 5. Now, first of all, you've been able to settle your psychological needs. Now you're moving into the space of safety needs. So safety needs outside of the job security that you now have, because you are good at your job, you are growing in the organization. Now you can move some funds to provide stability, investing into some things, doing some other things that will now help you to meet those safety needs at the end of the day. Now, the third aspect of this Maslow hierarchy of needs and career growth is love and belonging needs. Now, workplace relationships and professional network. This is one thing that the 9 to 5 also gives to you, right? The relationships and the network that you're able to build within the organization is also super important for the growth that you want to establish, even if you eventually go out to run your own business. It's super important. You cannot trade it for any other thing, right? So this is one thing you really need to understand, that the 9 to 5 that you so much despise has its own advantages, right? And the entrepreneurship that you so want to venture into, like I said, takes a lot of time to also form. The organization you currently work with, they did not just start out and then now they're able to pay everybody's salary. They're able to do a lot of things for people. They are thinking of career growth. I want to rise to become a manager. It took years of grinding and forming for that organization to now become stable. Like we said, right? They can settle needs of their organization and staff, right? So you need to understand that space, that while you are growing in an organization, you're able to settle these 5 Maslow hierarchy of needs and career growth, while you now venture into something else that could give you the stability you need in terms of investment, in terms of creating your own business and stuff like that. Now, next one is esteem needs, recognition, promotion that helps you to boost your confidence. So in the 9 to 5, you also get that, right? You're one day coming into an organization as an intern, and then after a couple of years, I'm literally just telling my own story, coming in as a new joiner, and then after a couple of years, you are growing into becoming a manager that is now grooming an intern, which you once were. You were once an intern, you were once a fresh graduate coming into an organization. Now you are becoming a manager, and it is helping you. Now you've built experience, you've garnered experience. You can now train other people coming below you, even to become someone better than yourself. That's the esteem, right? When they say mentor, 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 it is not just words of mouth. You've passed through this space, you've passed through that particular phase. Now you are actually coaching people to pass through the same phase, probably within a shorter time, because now they are not going to be making the mistakes that you've made in the past. They are going to be able to leverage more opportunities than you've leveraged. And this is what it gives to you, that self esteem. You're able to build this social presence. This is what it gives to you. And lastly, is the self-actualization needs, right? Mastery and fulfilling work at the top, which is why we're referencing the CEO of Goldman Sachs, right? Is now, would I say, at a space of mastery where people actually reference his know-how, they reference his leadership skill to lead an organization to a space of transformation, right? So that is why they can say, we're going to give you $80 million, extend your stay with another 5 years, help us in this organization to transform this organization for us further, because definitely probably the records are so good, the books are so good, the numbers are really good, and before probably you can find somebody else like that, probably it will take years of grooming. And probably the next 5 years of him being in the organization is also them saying, okay, let's use the next 5 years to also groom somebody else to come on board to now take up this role, right? So these are things that you need to understand. That if you say today that my 9 to 5, I don't want to do a 9 to 5, I want to be a boss of my own, it is not a bad thing. But are you ready for the grind becomes the question. I don't want us getting into a space of lashing those that work on a 9 to 5 like they don't have a vision for themselves. How many business owners can boast of having being paid $80 million or having a wealth of $80 million? Not everyone, because probably this is the entire net worth of some people that are even the richest in the world, right? So if you look at it now, somebody who has worked a 9 to 5, grown up the career ladder, created business alongside, like I would always reference, not as if he has not done anything by the side, right? So don't think he's only on the 9 to 5. What he has also done, because for instance, if you find out about this man we're talking about now, he might have a mentorship academy outside of his 9 to 5. He might have a business outside of 9 to 5. He has probably trained so much people, improve on that leadership skill, that is coming back into the organization now. His value has increased because what you teach, you get better at it. And now they are telling him, please stay 5 years more so that you can help impact this knowledge better. So, as people who are working in 9 to 5, we really need to understand these things before you make certain decisions. 9 to 5 is not bad. People get successful while running a 9 to 5. People have a successful career while running a 9 to 5. People have self-actualization needs while running a 9 to 5. They have this social capital while running a 9 to 5. They're able to settle their love and belonging needs while running a 9 to 5. Safety needs are also being settled while running a 9 to 5. And also psychological needs are settled while running a 9 to 5. And that is one thing I want us to understand. Now, as we kind of wrap up the session, because I want to also give time for us to ask some questions based on the experience I have, right? I would try to also answer to the best of my understanding. Now, what are the principles that could help you to maximize your 9 to 5? One thing I know for sure is the fact that once you stop learning, you start dying. And then your value, your impact is no longer felt. So that skill is something till today. Developing the skills is one thing that you cannot compromise. You just have to keep developing yourself. What is in now, AI is trending everywhere. How exactly are you leveraging the technology of today to become more valuable in organization that gives you that leverage to also grow within the organization? Not that you just want to do the barest minimum and expect magic to work, or you come back and say, I've been working for this organization for the last 15 years, I've not had any growth. You might be the problem. So do you want to look inwards? Are you growing yourself as a person, as against the organization has not moved me? Yes, some organizations are also not the right space for you, which gets us into conversation of when is the right time for you to move. I think I hosted a session way back where it was a question of um how long is long enough to stay in an organization. But that's not a conversation for today. But the topic is continuous learning. You have to keep upgrading your skills. Number two is, like I've also always mentioned, you cannot just focus on what you are told to do. You don't become a top flyer, you don't become a top talent in an organization just by focusing on what you are being told to do. How well are you able to take initiative? The best of entrepreneurs that you see today are, first of all, problem solvers. So solving problems beyond your job description is what puts you in the limelight for that career growth that you're looking for, right? Thirdly is you need to build a strong network. Mentorship, sponsorship. There are people that you admire within your current organization that you want to be like. They've also grown up the career ladder, right? You want to be like them. What's stopping you from walking up to them and saying, I want to actually I want to be mentored by you? And mentorship, probably a topic for another day as well. It's not just a word of mouth, right? So it is, how much are you willing to put in the work to be mentored? Mentorship is not your mentor looking for you and running after you. No, you are to be the one to run after this person, mentors and sponsors, because they will be in rooms, your sponsors will be in rooms where decisions are being made, and then you are not there. How well have you built this strong network that they can speak for you, and then these opportunities that come up are brought in your favor? Now, excellence in execution. Do more than the bare minimum, right? So I'm not saying you should become a perfectionist at what you do and then trying to be perfect that you can't even deliver the work in time. It's a topic of do the best that you can do within the available time that you have. How well are you able to put in your best into the work so that when you're delivering it, it's not people questioning and seeing all the errors that you could have seen while you're submitting that report or doing anything at all. Let excellence speak through you in your workspace. That is eventually what will position you for that career growth that you're looking for, right? And then you have to leverage internal growth. Like I've said, right? Growth doesn't have to be up. I think I've also had that challenge once in my career, right? Where I was so fixated on the fact that if I wasn't moving up, then I wasn't moving at all. But I later got to understand that sometimes, and this is me referencing lateral growth, you need to build a strong foundation. That's a lateral growth. You need to expand your knowledge base so that whatsoever is going to be coming on it, which is the vertical growth, you have the capacity to actually handle it. And this is easier said than done, right? Not in all cases are lateral growths always in your area of expertise. It's going to test your mental agility, it's going to test your resilience, it's going to test your flexibility to change, right? So it's always good, build that lateral growth, expand, work with cross-functional teams, build that strong foundation that allows you to be able to absorb any load in terms of the vertical growth that is going to be placed on you as you grow in your career. It is super important. You don't want to climb up so high with a very weak foundation and you come down crumbling. This is one thing you really need to understand, right? And just like Chris Grosser said, he said, opportunities don't happen, you create them. This is one thing I want you to understand, that while even in your 9 to 5, they will not just come and pick you if you've not shown the reason why you should be handpicked. Nobody's just going to be saying this person is a talent, we need to promote him. If that skill, you've not developed it, if you've not solved problem beyond your job description, if you've not sought for a mentor and a sponsor, if you've not tried to do beyond the bare minimum, and if you've not tried to also expand your base, form a solid foundation to help you grow laterally and vertically. Now, this is the last space in which I'm going to be explaining to you. And these are literal steps for anyone who is actually listening to me today, right? Based on what I have done, based on things that I am still doing. Like I said, if you stop learning, you start dying, right? These are things that will keep remaining relevant as we keep growing, as we keep doing our day to day, right? Number one is identify one skill to develop within the next 3 months. I currently have a group of friends whereby we're also reviewing our goals for the year every 3 months, right? We're identifying that thing that we need to work on, and the next 3 months we take conscious effort to work on these things, right? Like I said, what you do outside of work indirectly increases the value that you have when you're back at work, right? Number two is to seek mentorship within the organization. You need mentors, you need sponsors, because people don't just rise to the top just like that. Yes, talent can be there, you might be so good, but how are you able to be mentored well enough into managing your talent that you can actually showcase it to the world? In rooms where you are not there, there is somebody to speak to the fact that they've seen the talent perform, and then you need to be moved up to an higher ground, right? Number three is position yourself for internal opportunities. Like I said, it can either be lateral. Growth doesn't have to just be up. It could be sideways, it could be left, it could be right. Position yourself for those internal opportunities that come. Some roles might look like you're moving out of your own career path. It might be an experience that gives you a 360 view of the organization, that when they're looking for a leader to actually lead a larger team, you become the strong potential or the strongest candidate for those particular roles. And then number four is document and showcase your wins, presentations, project achievements. Because for someone who is in an organization and you feel probably this is not the best space for me to be, my organization is not supportive, and truth be told, there are organizations like that that are toxic. Now it is a space of how do you sell your potential, your talent to another organization who is willing to bring you on board with a better culture, probably better pay and stuff like that. You need to showcase your achievements. How well are you leveraging these professional social platforms to actually put yourself out there and make yourself visible to the employers, right? So this is one major topic that a lot of us, we feel talent is the one that is just going to steal the show. Talent that is not visible cannot steal any show. So you need to make your talent visible to the entire audience, to the entire crowd, if it is going to steal the show. So if you're in an organization that you feel I need to move out of this organization, they are not referencing my skill, I'm not moving up the career ladder, there's a possibility that that space is not the right space for you. But if you're in the right space, you know opportunities are bound. How well are you able to position yourself? And then lastly is teach your skill to improve, to others to improve. This is one thing I've always tried to do. The more you offload, the better you become. That's one thing. The more you offload into others, the better you become. And this is one space also for career growth. Let there be a deposit of you in everyone that is working with you. This is how even leaders or your sponsors know that you are ready to move. There's a thing in my organization that if you don't have a pipeline, then you are not ready to move. Meaning, if you've not groomed somebody to take up the current role that you are doing, then you're not ready to move. As against the concept that we've always had before, everybody tries to hoard knowledge, hide information. That is not the case for me, which is one thing that I know that has actually helped me grow in the last couple of years. I will teach what I know to as many people as possible, which solidifies or um, brings about the topic of, yes, I am ready to move to a next position because there are people that have offloaded my current knowledge into and are ready to do this work. Growth will not just happen because no organizations wants to start struggling because they moved you here and then the role is entirely vacant. How well are you able to offload your knowledge into other people? If you think hoarding information is the best way to go, it will make you more relevant. You are totally wrong, and you're just setting yourself up for failure, right? So just to end with this, it says the best way to predict the future is to create it. So life doesn't just happen by chance. That's one thing I want us to understand. You might feel what I'm doing today is not making sense. It's what we call slow and steady. Slowly but surely, it's definitely going to make sense. If you are following the right principles, you're following the right action steps, you have a mentor who is guiding you. Are you teaching your skill that you know already? Are you positioning yourself rightly? Are you also documenting your processes? Are you showcasing the talents that you have? Are you developing yourself so that you can continue learning? So basically, that is all for tonight. I hope everyone was able to learn one or two things with respect to my own career journey. I've been able to move from one, would I say, fresh graduate back in 2018, rise up the career ladder to becoming a global talent, I would say, in the world of today, right? So thank you very much for having me on the session again. I really appreciate the time. I hope you guys had a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, that was an in-depth session. Short, but really, really, it was in-depth. Like, as much as I think that I was familiar with the slide, I didn't see all of that dimension that it came from. Like, that was really, really beautiful. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ayomide,
Thank
for
you for having
sharing
me.
all of that with us. Please, if you have question on any part of this session, please send it in on the live session, on the live chat, and I'll be sure to just mention it now. I have quite a lot of questions, of course, but I'll try as much as possible to, stream it down a bit so that we don't shoot so much into time. I'm hopeful that before 9:30 we'll be done here. So, Hayomide, I am an HR, and I believe you understand that we're in a traditional system in Nigeria, and a lot of employee rights. I want to say that majority of us are, with the teaching of tonight, we are sort of familiar with it in, let's say, about 50 to 60% of what you have said, but we are in a system that doesn't make it look like we really do know what we are doing, and we cannot deny that fact. So I will take from one of your comments. You had mentioned that um, just a moment, please. Oh, sorry. Okay, so you mentioned that movement is one of the things, movement is part of growth, and it could be vertical, it could be horizontal, it could be in different dimension. But as an HR, I tell you, if I am hiring and I see that you have less than 2 years, in fact, 2 years, I've even given it the max, you have less than 2 years and then you keep changing jobs and that's your cycle. For me, it's a red flag, because as an HR, what I am looking out for is are you retainable, right? I don't want to be in that position where in the next 1.5 years I'm out on the road again looking to do recruitment and all of that. So that's the kind of system Nigeria, of course we are Nigeria, we are domiciled in Nigeria presently, even though we might have other audience from outside the world, but the structure we are in makes it that if you don't, and the way we account value in terms of career depends on the length of time. And to be very honest, the length of time is not the determinant for value. Let me talk as a married man who say the fact that you have spent 35 years in marriage doesn't mean that you are really enjoying it. So many people endure their marriage, right, for that length of years that they spent in it. And that is how it is for some careers. But Nigeria wants you to stay put in a job for the next 5, 6 years, and they say, oh, your retention, this thing is high, and we are looking for people like you that can stay with the business irrespective of the value they are getting from you or the value you are getting from the business. And now, as a fresh blood, let me use the word that a lot of people don't like to hear now. The Gen Zs now, they are like, we now have two cultures. I mean, two generations in the workspace now that are contending a lot. The millennials and the Gen Zs. And the millennials have just been, we have that mindset of the way we're sort of groomed. Of course we have different, I have some set of people that still have that ability to, that daring ability. I want to step out if it's not comfortable. But a lot of millennials, we are in that position of, this is the structure that our parents went through, and we just want to have that security and all of that, even if we are not really enjoying that process, even when it is not adding to our career development and all of that. So I want to say, and also you had mentioned it, that movement doesn't have to be like, there's no, how long can long be? I don't know the answer to that. So what do you have to say, driving it home, driving it to the employment system we have operating in Nigeria? So if my question is clear enough.
Thank you very much for the question. And to be honest with you, it is very, very relatable. And I'm going to take it from different perspective, right? I think early last year I was opportune to be on a mentorship session with one of the top leaders within my organization. And this is someone that has also been into the role for so many years. And
Mm,
so into the mentorship session, we're having conversations, and um, she gave an assignment that I should like draw out what my next 5 years career plan is meant to look like. And
mm,
then I put the fact that in 5 years from now, I want to grow into a current role. This is somebody that's been on the role for it took probably 15 years to be on the role. So when we
mm.
were having the conversations, she was like, I could see it. It felt like, do you know how many years it took me to
Right.
get this role? And you, this small boy, you are telling me that in 2 years you
I
want to be on
will.
this
You
role.
want to be there.
And the courage I just had was to ask that why I am aspiring to be in this role in the next couple of years is because I have chosen you as a mentor, meaning I don't have to spend the same amount of
Mm,
years that you
with
have
you.
spent to actually assume this role. That is why mentorship is important. And that's why I was also referencing it, right? So in most cases, the length of time doesn't actually determine experience anymore when you have mentorship at this point in time. If you have the right mentors to guide you so that you don't
Mm,
get into the same pitfalls that they've gotten into in the last couple of
mm,
years. Now, for people that also move, like I said, movement doesn't necessarily have to be outside of your current organization. And this is on both sides. Sometimes, as an employee, you have to move when you realize that there is no growth for you. Now, when I say when you realize there is no growth for you, that is for someone who has invested so much of time into developing itself. So you understand your worth. You've developed
mm,
yourself so well that you know that my knowledge or what I've developed myself into, I cannot see the growth in this space. Then I need to move. I'll give you a perfect example. I think my current organization as well. When I initially came in, I think I had a conversation. If for someone who knows me well, I honestly get tired of routines. I think that's one thing that gets me extremely bored. Routine things just keep me in one space or one job for 1 year, and I can promise you I might start looking for another job after 1 year. So I'm a kind of person that I would always develop myself. So you need to keep challenging me, even within the current organization, if I'm going to remain in that organization. And I will jump on an interview session. You're asking me, why am I deciding to leave an organization in 6 months? I will tell you the same thing. The organization is not challenging my potential enough for me to reach the goal I want to achieve. Clear. So it's not a topic of why are you not staying for 3 years. I'm not going to waste my time for 3 years if my potential is not being maximized. So that's a major topic I want us to understand, that from the point of the employee,
mm,
first of all, they are looking at a space where their potential can be maximized. Now, from the point of the employer, you need to create opportunities for the employee so that they feel challenged with the potential that they have and they are willing to stay. So I've been in an organization for 2 years and 6 months and I've changed role 4 times. Am I job hunting at the moment? I can tell you clearly that no. I still had a conversation
Yeah.
with a group of my friends today where they were asking me that what's my goal for the year. I said currently my goal for the year is I just assumed a new role in January and I want to maximize the potential within my current role. That is an organization that has invested into challenging my potential to deliver. And I'm willing to stay because the growth is massive for
So,
me. I can find myself in another space having the same potential, but I cannot find a space to explore. It becomes a topic of you see me jumping on interview sessions. You see, this is where you see people using their office Wi-Fi to apply for another job. That's where it happens. Use your office Wi-Fi to apply for another organization's job. So it is just picking it from these 2 points. Organization has their role to play in maximizing the potential of an employee.
mhm,
The employee has a role to play in developing himself enough so that the potential can be maximized. So it's a two-way thing. I had, I think I've had situations where some people had to move from several jobs because as an HR person, you also agree with me that the more you move, maybe from job to job, the more you get the increment in pay. So that's the strategy most people will also try to
right.
use. Move here,
That's
move
the
here, move here.
system now.
But it's we get to a point where if your movement is solely by money, you will get stuck at some point. Now, I've always had this mentor who will tell me, you don't chase money head on. So money is not something you chase head on and then you catch it. It never happens. Money is something that you add value and money will come, right? I've
Mm-hmm.
What I earn currently is not what I used to earn when I got into my current organization. But I can tell you for free that I am earning way more than I used to earn in just 2 years. When I mean way more than I used to earn, and this is the space of value, right? Being able to say, okay, this is not necessarily my area of expertise, but I'm willing to dive into this area. Giving me a role that is out of my scope. I'm willing to take on this topic. I'm willing to work on this project. It builds a solid foundation for you that when there is an opportunity to take you up, even the manager or the mentor that or the sponsor that wants to recommend you has so much of confidence in the fact that you are going to deliver, and they have no iota of doubt to recommend you for the next role to take you up because they've also pressure tested you on these lateral roles. You've delivered,
Right.
you've worked with cross-functional teams, you manage stakeholders. But if at any slightest opportunity you feel, I'm sorry, I cannot do this, this is not within my scope of work, when that opportunity comes, trust me, your name can never fly out because you would also get to that space and mess it up. So in this area, this is how I just want to land it right. That employer has their own role to play, employee also has their own role to play. But one thing that is very critical, which I will reference the role we play as employees, is the fact that if you cannot develop your own skill set, trust me, no matter where you go to, there cannot be growth for you. If you feel my current organization is not pushing me up, I'm not growing up the career ladder, it's still going to be the same thing somewhere else. If you as a person, you are not a person of value, an
Mm,
organization cannot invest into you for maximum growth.
right. Are you done?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks. So
Yeah.
sorry. Thank you
All
very
right.
much for that. Yeah.
All right. All right. So thank you very much, Ayo. That was really, that shed a lot of light on that question. And I would also like to add that it's very okay that you are in an organization, and majority of us, we don't know what this organization have in stock unless we actually get in, right? So it's okay that you get in and they didn't meet your expectation. But what's not okay is that you get comfortable with the fact that your expectation is not met, and which at times is usually the case, where you now become redundant. When you get into that organization, you now take the flow. Oh, because this organization is not able to um, give me the value that I should get, you also in return, you are not you are not so the word is, you are not doing the organization. Actually, you are actually doing more harm to yourself than you think you are doing to the organization. So what I do advise, as soon as you get into a place you get settled in your 3 6 months, you realize that they are unable to give you what you by 6 months you should have understand what the atmosphere is. It a workplace, is it a work environment that is non-toxic, is it somewhere that your career is going to be developed, self-development today? So you would have understand all of their work culture and all of that, and that should keep you on your toes. And don't get comfortable to the point where when you ought to stand out giving your value, you're unable to give it because you know that you are also not going to get value in return from them, right? So the major thing is, once you get into an organization, discover on time if it is where you want to settle or you want to be. And it's okay to move in the next 3 months. It's okay for it not to be in your CV if it's going to be an issue for you in the, in the future, in your future endeavors and all of that. You can decide to plunge it out and move to the next. See, the truth is, as much as we think that the Nigerian system is somehow, but I still believe that there are organizations that are ready to give value depending on what you're bringing, and you
Uh,
just might have not had the skill to get into that place, and you
so just
cannot
to
be
add
in that. Yeah, okay, go ahead please.
so just to add to what you sorry to cut you, right? I
Yeah.
usually try to think about some things. And just the same way I painted the case of the CEO who was paid $80 million, right?
Mm,
I've had conversations, and truth be told, there are people that earn crazy money in this country because of the value they're
right.
able to offer,
Yeah.
right? They didn't go to, some of them didn't go to Harvard, they didn't go to all this
At all.
Ivy League schools. They also went to the likes of Uniloring, they went to the likes of
Yeah.
UI and stuff like that. And they are earning, when I mean crazy money, they are earning well enough to do good for themselves. Now, one thing I've also realized that most of us, when we get into organization, we just allow things go the way we see things be. We just allow things to be like that. One thing I think I've also leveraged in my few years of working is constant seek or constant ask of feedback, right? I schedule calls with my boss to understand this is the KPI that has been set for me. How have I done so far in the last 6 months? Are there areas that I need to improve? Now, after all this has been fleshing out, I then ask, what is the next thing that needs to be done? We finished the calendar year, we've achieved the result. What next? What more? Ask like you are willing to do more. So it's they say to whom much is given, much is expected. So the more you are willing to maybe dish out value, the more opportunities would actually arise and open up for you, right? So it's not just out of a space of you getting into organization, like I said, doing the barest minimum and expecting magic to happen. No, it doesn't work like that. Most of the time that I've also have had the opportunity to grow, I'm able to take some burdens off my boss's table, and this is the person that they will literally look to at the end of the day when opportunity arises. Who is this person that is able to solve problems that are biting the organization?
Right. So thank you very, very much. And before we round up, I would also like to add, see, that the fact that we are all doing 9 to 5, but we are not here to preach that 9 to 5 is the only way for you to be successful. But then you can be a 9 to 5er and be really, really successful. Only that you have to do things appropriately. The fact that I am a business owner doesn't stop me from managing my finances very well. Somebody said on the live chat that a lot of people, the limitations is the fact that we know a lot, but we don't, our actions are limited. We don't act as employees, as 9 to 5ers. We are just on that routine, and then we at the end of the month, salary comes in. What is your financial knowledge? How skilled are you financially? Are you actually able to manage your income as it should? It is not because you are not doing business that's why your income is not the way it is. I am not um invalidating the fact that we are in an economy where there's no how much you earn. Of course, your expenses and your liabilities grows as much as you earn. But then it depends on how skilled you have financially. What is your financial management? Are you able to manage your finances? You are a 9 to 5 hour doesn't debar you from investing, knowing about investments. What's your salary, doing in that stead? It's not until you own a business before you can start investment. Self-development, that I am a business owner, shouldn't stop me from developing myself. That I am a business owner doesn't mean that I will stay with one business. The same is for 9 to 5 as for employees. That I work for an organization doesn't mean I cannot venture into different, into multiple streams of income, which Ayomide rightly mentioned. Presently, a lot of you see me, I've been making a whole lot of noise on social media because that's a part of me that I'm trying to develop and also monetize, right? So it's enough of we sitting down on the routine that I'm going to work on 8 a.m. I resume 8 a.m. I close 5 p.m. I'm not really see. Recently I've been reading a book, and a talent is a combination of multiple talents. That you are doing a particular job now that is paying your bills as a salary earner doesn't mean that is where your potential is stops. There is more, except that, but then that depends on how much you have invested in yourself. And I believe that your media have been able to, speak a lot about that investment on yourself, leveraging on a whole lot of things. Skill man, a lot of us are just doing the routine. I'm an HR. There was a time when I get tired of being an HR a lot of time. Do you understand? So I try as much as possible to refine it to suit me so that I keep getting fulfilled part time as I do it. So on different aspects of my life and in my career journey. And it's okay that there are seasons in our life where our career looks quiet. I feel like there are seasons like that in our lives where our career just looks quiet. Nothing is really happening. But even in that quietness, I want you to know that something is meant to be like there should be a voice. Even in every quietness, there's a voice. That is what I believe. So as much as your career can be in a season of quietness, be so sensitive enough to hear the voice that is coming in that season. So with all of that put in place, you are financially managing your income. There's some financial knowledge that if you earn 2 million naira per month now, some persons cannot manage it as much as somebody that is earning 200k. And this is not even saying it in a this thing. What you don't know, you don't know. Those kind of people will still live hand to mouth despite how much they are earning, because they don't understand financial management. So going away from this webinar this night, I believe that you've been able to take something and you are going to go back again. If you are at that point right now that you are just thinking about it, is this salary job really going to cut it? Like, really, is it going to cut it? Yes, it might not really cut it. So now you need to sit down. What do I need to do? Do I need to add additional income? Do I need to, what are my potentials that I have not looked into, that I really need to look into? What are those potentials that I'm actually looking into, but on my skill no carry? I have accountants. I can't even talk, but I have accountants that can't properly use Excel. It's at times when I have these conversations with people like that, my like I'm like, what are you doing really? What are you really doing? Do you get? So, and a lot of employees are still on that level. That's the barest minimum in your choice of career. You cannot even give it your best. So I hope that we've been able to have a great session, and this webinar is able to, push you out again to go back and look into your books. Look into your books. What am I not doing right in this career life that is making me look like I want to quit? Quitting might not be the problem. You just need to go back and check the drawing board. And I believe we've had a beautiful session. Ayomide, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
really
very much.
appreciate having you on this session. It's been so beautiful to have you. Thank you everyone for joining us. And
So probably
I will be doing more of this.
before we wrap up, there was
Okay.
something you mentioned just around the fact that you have people, you have accountants that don't know Excel. And the truth is, it's okay not to know, but
Hmm.
how long are you willing to stay in not knowing? becomes the question. Most people are comfortable in ignorance. That's one of the things that fights a lot of people, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. I think when I also just started out my career, there was an assignment, or there was a task that was given to me by I think it was a finance manager then, to be done on Excel. And truth be told, I was also just fresh out of school. We hadn't done so much with Excel and stuff like that. So I started writing out all the data, all the numbers out on paper. It took me 2 days. I was still writing out these numbers on paper. I was writing out these numbers. And this man will keep on asking me that, what's up? Where is this assignment that I gave to you? It should not take you this much. I'll be like, I'll soon be done. I'll soon be done. So I think on the third day, he now walked into our office. We had an office that we're doing something. And he came to my team. I was like, this man, what are you doing with this data I gave to you for 3 days? And he literally just saw a paper on my table where I was scribbling in numbers, and he was confused. That, what are you doing? Then he dragged my system, just punched in a couple of things, did a pivot table, and that was how the result he was asking from me came out. It took me 3 days
Hmm.
to be writing out numbers, and it took him just a few minutes to do a pivot table that was able to analyze that data. From that day, I was crazy and mad with myself because I felt very stupid.
Wow.
That any Excel course I could see, I was jumping on it. That I didn't want to find myself in that space of ignorance and not knowing anymore. But people would still feel comfortable in that space of ignorance and not do anything about it. So it's a question of, yes,
Hmm.
identify what you don't know, but what are you doing about what you don't know becomes the question. You also spoke about financial
Yes.
literacy, right?
Right.
Everybody can earn so much. And I've also fallen victim, right? It's not about how much you earn, it's about how well are you able to manage what you're earning. So there's a space of earning, there's a space of managing what you're earning, there's a space of also multiplying what you're earning.
Yeah.
There are concepts of things like that. You I think, if I'm not wrong, just a second, just 1 second, so that we understand before we just wrap up, right? So but I believe they literally just get my point. So it's not just about how much you're making, how well are you able to manage it, how well are you able to invest
Hmm.
back into yourself with with the money you're earning that increases your value to earn more, right? So
Yeah.
all these things, we know we cannot cover everything on this session, but I hope we're also able to give you an hint into what you can do differently as an employee. How can you position yourself to add value to an organization? How can you continue to work on yourself, improve the skill sets that you have that gives you the leverage to actually be put into positions that will make you grow in your career? Thank you.
Thank you very much, AY. God bless you. I appreciate you. And thank you everyone for joining. We'll be having sessions like this more often by the grace of God. And I'll also be bringing, speakers that have evidence to show us, like Ayomide. And I hope that you'll be here. So please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please ensure to do that on your way out, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye. Bye, Hayomide.